If you treat AI like a content vending machine, you're gonna get fast, you're gonna get maybe pretty, but you're gonna get empty, right? You're gonna get vending machine content. You have to really focus on what you are putting into the AI, the information about your customer, about your business, so that what comes out on the other end is credible, is relevant, is focused on the intent of the buyer, and frankly, is trusted.
And Michelle, you drink tea.
I do. I love tea.
English breakfast.
Fabulous. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic.
I know. I get so excited. You are my second person that actually drinks tea. I had Gary Vee.
I listened. Oh my God, he was fabulous.
No, I know. And he was so good. There's a couple, I think we broke it up into about 4 different parts.
Oh, fantastic.
I had so much fun because there is no tie to traditional marketing. It is all about just, let me tell you the new world. I learned so much in that 15 minutes.
Did
you? Well, the one thing, if you listen to it, the big aha that I had was how we do brand. So his point was put as much content out in what he calls the middle of the funnel, and then what resonates determines brand.
Yeah, it's true.
And
he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. But it's such a different way of market. I mean, you've been in marketing for a while.
Yeah.
I think you and I both. And it's been a very linear, you do things the same way. It hasn't changed, really.
It's so fascinating that you say that because I was thinking about this. And earlier on, it's like, I think we've seen 3 major seismic shifts since I've been in marketing. Like, I remember the first website I ever did, and it was probably 1996 or something, and it was nothing more than a brochure online, and I was like, this is magical.
Oh, totally.
Like, this is unbelievable that you can actually put something in a digital environment that people can read, and I don't have to print things anymore. I mean, amazing. And Sitecore, we're 25 years old on Sundays, so like we've been around since the advent of the internet and the web and all of these things, but the 3 sort of massive sea changes that I see, the first is Google, for sure, right? Google search changed the way that marketing gets done, and now we've got these experts, these people who can optimize can I say crap? The crap out.
Yes. Definitely say crap.
Who are exceptional at optimization and know how to get people to click, know how to rank appropriately. It's amazing. The second one, though, is social. And the thing that I think is really vastly different about social is now it's a 2-way interaction and an engagement. And you also have people promoting your brand for you in a way that you never did before. So all of this UGC. And both of those were massive sea changes. But the third is what we're seeing now with AI, and you had a guest this morning who said that the rate of change is unhinged, and I
loved that term. I was like, it is
unhinged. And unlike the other 2 changes, this is happening not in years, not in months, but in days. Every single week there is something new, and it is really difficult to keep up.
You know, it's interesting. I have 2 boys, 17 and a 15-year-old, and they violently dislike AI.
Really?
Violently. And you would think the younger generation, with any other, when there's been technology shifts, it's always the younger generation that embraces it. And the people that have been around for, in functions are the considered the laggards.
Yeah.
The movement right now with the younger generation, because they feel like it's making people dumb, it is going to take the jobs. Like, I've actually heard my 17-year-old say, like, well, I don't know why I'm doing all of the SAT prep and college and all that.
It's not gonna matter.
But it doesn't matter because the pace is so unhinged. Who knows what 4 years looks like? So why am I planning for something? And so it's a fascinating thing, I think, for us as marketers. We, for the very first time, have to keep up with kind of the way that AI is changing the way that we market, but who we market to, the shift or the chasm. There are the people that embrace AI and think it is the greatest thing ever, and there's a very big emerging group that are very, what I would say, anti-AI.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I was thinking about this earlier, and I wonder if they're really anti-AI or they're really sort of this anti-hollow experience. Because I think we've all come to look at content that's been written by AI. I mean, you can't go through your LinkedIn feed without seeing something that is just completely, whether you want to call it AI slop, whether it's AI enhanced. But I think that we have relegated or we've allowed AI to do our jobs for us. And so when your 17-year-old is talking about cognitive decline, I totally understand that, because I think in a lot of ways AI gives us permission to be lazy. And as marketers, we can't, because our North Star hasn't changed in the face of AI. It is still the customer. It is still serving their needs in the best way possible.
Giving them relevant information in a timely fashion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But if you treat AI like a content vending machine, like, you're going to get fast, you're going to get maybe pretty, but you're going to get empty. Right? You're going to get vending machine content. And so you have to really focus on what you are putting into the AI. I think you talked about it this morning, context, the intelligence, making sure that you are serving up to artificial intelligence the information about your customer, about your business, your personas, your brand, everything it needs, so that what comes out on the other end is credible, is relevant, is focused on the intent of the buyer, and frankly is trusted.
It's so interesting that you said that, because it is the hollowness of it.
Yeah.
It is, I hear this of like, well, that's AI generated content. Yeah. But in our world, right, when we think about, I talked about this on stage, the creative process, like how amazing as marketers to not have to go through the long cycle of creative development. You can actually start from creative concepting, but it then has to be followed through to be authentic. Yeah. You're using it as as an ideation, not an end state. And I think that's what people have just been, it's like a content vending machine. I love that. I love that term.
Feel free to take it.
Thank you. I'm going to unhinged and content vending machine. Yeah. I think those are the two terms that are going to stick with me after today. But it is like, and it's just, there's some balance in between, because there's this notion of like, you can put out so much content and you can test it and use it to understand your brand, but you can't do it in a way that is so artificial that people are immediately turned off.
Yeah. And it's so fascinating, because when we talk about sort of these massive sea changes and the way in which marketing has changed, the thing that I really was struck by, and I saw this, it was a couple weeks ago, but I was sitting and I had this aha moment, because I was talking to someone and I was looking at this monitoring tool that we are using. Someone was showing it to me, and it's like, wait a minute, that page, I don't know that page was live anymore. That product, that's an outdated product. That blog post is from 5 years ago. And what the aha moment, the big unlock for me was, oh my God, if you think about the way that marketing used to work, someone would discover a piece of content. They would click on a link. They would come to a landing page. They would maybe view a case study, read an explainer, something along those lines, and then they would convert. And they would convert along this prescribed path that we gave them, right?
Yes.
AI answer engines don't work that way. They read everything, your entire content estate, what's above the waterline, what you can actually see, and what's below. And so if you think about it, I think maybe I have 10,000 pages on my website, of which maybe 1.5% I truly care about. But now I've got to think about all of those other pages, because AI is going to consume them, and it's going to think about what's structured 100%. In the right way, what it really wants to read, and it's going to serve it up. And it's going to then mash it up with analyst reviews, customer input, peer reviews and insights, commentary from our community, all of these other places. And it has this inherent bias, because it is focused on the things that it needs to serve up the best possible answer to the person. And at a time when, the marketing funnel is compressed so that you can do early stage discovery all the way through shortlisting in one conversation, you got to make sure you're showing up with the answer to the right question.
My team and I talk a lot about this, because the way that we used to do the search engine optimization with LLMs, you're actually optimizing for the LLM now.
Yeah.
And that was that. And then how you do it is exactly what you're talking about, which is more relevant content in more places. It's not about fine tuning just your website to make sure that it shows up in search discovery. It's how much content do you have on your community sites, on the, not only your web properties, but your technical docs, all of that. So it really is, I feel like it is a delicate balance of not doing AI slop, not just putting content out for the sake of content, but enough content that it proliferates so that the reasoning engines, the LLM models, can actually scan and actually have enough content to triage for an answer that is relative to what we're trying to serve up to the customer.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you talk about SEO versus AEO or GEO, so answer engine optimization. I would tell you that SEO traditionally is sat in the digital function, maybe a couple of levels below a VP, director of digital.
Yeah.
But now AEO, it's a much bigger remit. It is the mandate of the CMO, I would argue, because now you've got brand, you've got PR, you've got AR, everything that is being influenced because measurements changed, right? So if you think about measurement, it used to be clicks and rankings, but now it is brand sentiment. It is how you show up. It is making sure that your content is out there and being served up to the right people. And so the way that you measure is just vastly different.
Well, and I think even I think a lot of people think of the AEO in the consumer space, but think about how much in commercial, like as a commercial CMO, so much of the content, the typical content I used to generate was sales content.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that anymore, right? I can have a sales enablement platform, but what I need is to have content that is relevant to my audience. And I think about AEO now way more than I think about sales readiness or sales content. And so there's a really big shift. And I think, again, people have sort of gotten there faster on the consumer side, but on the commercial side, it is equally relevant. And it fundamentally is changing how my marketing team operates.
Oh, absolutely. Again, I think buying teams are shortlisting vendors within an answer engine without ever talking to that vendor, without ever visiting their website. And so you've got to make sure, number one, that you've got the right first-party content, because first-party content travels, that you understand what the most relevant third-party outlets are so that you are showing up there as well, engaging your community and your partners and making sure you've got all of the reviews, et cetera, videos on YouTube, Reddit, everything. It becomes a much larger part of, I think, your overall marketing.
Absolutely. Which is exciting.
Yes.
I think
very much so.
This is, I feel like as a marketer, we're in a place right now where we've talked about, coding and developers and how their role has changed.
Yeah.
And even, like I said, even physicians, their role has changed. But we are in a really unique place where we get to define marketing for the future and how it's done and learn along the way. So I find it to be one of the most exciting times right now to be in marketing.
I do too. I also think, and I'm hopefully that some of your audience is of my generation, but I have found that as being a woman over 50, I feel really motivated and energized by what AI is allowing me to do in my career now. Because look, I'm experienced with transformation. I have years of transformation. I am not, immune to change.
You were in the early days of IBM Watson. you like,
but I mean, like, so change doesn't faze me. I also think that as a woman of this age, we are open to learning in ways that maybe we weren't before, and then frankly, women just have higher emotional intelligence, and so I think if we're trying to design organizations that are utilizing AI in the right way, where you are still getting the best of human creativity and AI capability together, you need people who are thinking about the human aspect of it all the time.
Well, and even to your point about learning, like I write something called Monday Morning Thoughts for my team because my team is very distributed. And so it's just a way that it's just a quick and dirty, like here are the things that are top of mind.
It's fabulous.
And one of the things that I shared with them is I was whiteboarding with our COO around a change in kind of how we think about our GTM.
Yeah.
And I took a picture and it's early days. And so I said, well, I'll drop it into a slide. And it's not at a place where, it's, really something that is mainstream. So it was just still an ideation stage. And I thought, well, I could, call our design team and, download to them and have them. But I was like, what if I just drop it into Claude? What happens? 45 seconds later, I had a fully functioning 3-page deck off of a picture that I took on the whiteboard. And
Isn't
I thought,
it amazing?
what an amazing thing to, first of all, to learn, to be able to see what co-work can do, but also like how empowering as a leader to be able to say, like, I have the tools now where I don't need to go call my staff team to do something. I'm just working real time iterating. And it was a very empowering feeling.
Oh, it is so empowering. And by the way, I'm glad you know my best friend Claude because he is fabulous.
I know, I want a Claudette.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea. I had a similar experience where I was trying to explain to my business insights team what my dashboard needed to look like. And I wanted sliders and I wanted it to do all these things, but I couldn't articulate it in the way that they needed. So I went to Claude and I built it out as a prototype. And I'm like, here you go in HTML, and see if you move a slider, it changes, how much pipeline we're going to generate. And so I find that it is helping with ideation, but I also think it is really helping us imagine what's possible in ways that we just couldn't before.
I know.
Absolutely.
It is fascinating because you have the ability to access now at the CLI level, web, and the rate in which you can prototype is pretty incredible.
I know.
It's very exciting.
I love tinkering.
So as we're having tea, tell the audience something that people might not be thinking about, or something that is on the horizon that you're seeing in your role.
Oh, I would tell you, and it's going to be really ironic coming from me as the CMO of Sitecore. Websites aren't your front door anymore. I think websites are still really important. They are the source code, but the answer engines are the front door now. And so as you think about your content estate and making sure that you are building content that is organized and structured and relevant for the answer engines, and that you are thinking about all of the third-party places you show up, you've got to make sure that you're building the right source code so that, again, you show up correctly. Because I will tell you, I think that the website still matters, and it matters absolutely for a beautiful, curated human experience, but also for an AI answer engine that is looking for the best possible result that it can get. And so websites will matter. They will still be important, but understanding how that content that you have so perfectly curated, how that content is being used, and making sure that you've got it organized and structured in the right way is going to be more important.
I could not agree with you more. It is becoming the sort of secondary. So it's not the front door. It's becoming, once the discoverability is in the AI agent, then it becomes almost your like you said, your source code repository, your like where you go to learn more, not where you start. And I feel that way about search too. That's what we were talking about. Like when was the last time you went into the sort of Bing or Google search bar? Like, I'm in Chat, I'm in Claude, I'm in Copilot, and I'm asking that, like, on things that the other day, like, as a consumer, I thought about this. I was like, my shift from searching the web to just asking an agent has radically changed.
It has radically changed. I don't even in Sitecore, I never do traditional search. I'm always going to Copilot because I want it to pull some important document or some conversation I have. I'm looking for that recall, that intelligence. It's like, oh, thank God.
That IQ, that intelligence.
So important.
That contextual layer in AI will make the difference of, knowing what you're searching for, the permissions that you have, your history, and then being able to relevantly serve up that content.
I agree.
I think that is such an important, particularly on the sort of business side, less on the consumer side, but on the business side, being able to have that context is just, it fundamentally changes how we work.
Absolutely.
Which is
absolutely.
Awesome. This was so much fun.
This was so much fun. I didn't even realize they were recording.
I know.
This is so much fun.